Okay, party people, about the other night.
At the end of the day, the bottom line is this. We've got 11 or 12 minutes to go in a hockey game against a team that played last night, is playing on a back-to-back and has shown tired legs in the first 10 minutes of the third period. And we're there with a one-goal lead, and we gave that up much too easily. So, I'd like to sit and pick out the positives, and we'll do that at a later date, but not ready to do that right now.
Dave Haxtell not happy, the players not happy, the fans definitely not happy. We're going to have to talk about the Toronto game. We're also going to get you ready for game day as we take on the Ottawa Senators, and also some, signing news. Jared McCann gets an extension, and make sure you stick around for the end of the show because, as you can see, I'm wearing my Seattle Kraken hat. I've got the one that I purchased, and one of you lucky fans is going to be getting that. All that coming up on this episode of Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
All right, party people, as always, thank you for making Locked On Kraken your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Erica Lindsay Ayala. I know I was away for a little bit, but I was kind of getting into some stuff of my own. If you missed that, it's on Monday's show. That show went up late on YouTube, but it was available on all audio platforms, of course, completely free of charge to you as part of the Locked On Network. Okay, so yeah, we got to talk about this Toronto game. It drops the Seattle Kraken to 17-37-5 on the season as they get ready to hit the continue their road trip, I should say, in Ottawa. The Seattle Kraken had a lead, and they were right there in position to get a win in the third period, and then the wheels started to fall off. So you heard a little bit from Dave Haxtell at the very top of the show. Let's take you to Carson Soucy and Alex Wenberg and hear what they had to say about the loss.
Yeah, obviously penalties hurt going against a power play like that. Just a couple of mistakes cost us. I mean, we kind of got rolling there in the third, got the lead. And then with these guys, just a couple mistakes, it's in the back of the net. They got people who can score, obviously one of the best scorers in the league. So, and then penalties, yeah, a little too much time in the box. Obviously my penalty late killed us, so that hurts.
What's it like as a player to go through a series of games like these where you're in every game, you're actually on the verge of winning some games like tonight, and then you come out and have to basically say the same thing every night? How does that wear on you as a player? Have you gone through this to this degree with your other teams before?
I've never really gone through something like this. It's tough. Like I said, we're kind of in every game, shoot ourselves in the foot, or just don't protect our lead, don't protect the push from them. It hurts. I mean, we've been playing well, I think, these last couple games against some good teams. So, but when the results aren't there, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we got to get some points on this road trip, or it's going to be a long one. These next couple games, we need at least something.
Third period, you can't really do that. And I mean, obviously, it's not funny at all. It's frustrating. I feel like we doing so many good things, we're doing the right things, and then all of a sudden we find a way to lose, and it's just not the way you want to do it. It's what it is. I don't really know what to say right now. It's frustrating, but you just against this team, you just gotta, like, when you're up that goal, you just gotta finish the game, play simple, and we didn't find a way. I don't know. Hack put me out there in situations, and I mean, I felt good today. Obviously, I was skating a little bit all over the ice. I feel like I was moving well. And if he's going to keep giving me ice time and I feel like I deserve it, I'm just going to make the best out of it.
So a 6-4 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs on the road. The Seattle Kraken scored one in the first period. That was Carson Soucy's goal. Came right after Austin Matthews got his first, in case you missed it. He got a hat trick. I don't know how many of these were tossed on the ice. Hopefully none, okay? Anyway, but the Maple Leafs scored 2 in the first frame. The Seattle Kraken outscored the Maple Leafs in the second. That's how we got knotted at 3. Kraken got 2 goals. That was from Alex Wenberg and a shorthanded goal from Colin Blackwell. Blackwell's stock definitely going up. We talked about it way early in the show because Blackwell had not reported to training camp and was away as he was dealing with an injury. But Wenberg, Blackwell trending in the right direction. Then you got a beautiful tip. Jeremy Lazan shoots a puck in. Jaden Schwartz gets the tip. Kelly Yarncroke also got an assist on that. And that's the lead at the 5:57 mark of the third period. Then 3 goals from the Toronto Maple Leafs. They ultimately get the 6-4 win against Seattle. We heard from the guys, tough loss. And I really want to go back to what Haxtell is saying. He talked about some of the breakdowns, and Riley Sheahan had 2 plays that stood out to me on the breakout. The first goal that Austin Matthews scored in the third period came as the Seattle Kraken were entering their offensive zone. Riley Sheahan gets taken off the puck in a really simple, easy way, just as he had crossed the blue line into the offensive zone. So those entries, the Seattle Kraken exits and entries, we've heard Dave Haxtell talk about it before. You can't give up a puck right there. Then, not only that, but then Riley Sheahan, after getting his pocket picked, does not cut and make a massive beeline to the front of the net on the back check. And that's what gave Matthews time and space. I was covering the Devils game the other day. I was calling the Devils game the other day. That was kind of cool. But anyway, I was calling the Devils game and you heard the Devils talk about time and space. They were playing the Colorado Avalanche. So you cannot give time and space to a top team. You cannot give time and space to top scorers, because that's exactly what Austin Matthews did, is that he got time, he got space, and he made the Seattle Kraken pay. Boom, tie game. Another turnover, a lackadaisical kind of fluttering pass along the boards. Again, the Seattle Kraken turning it over it wasn't in the offensive zone, it was in the neutral zone, just as they're making an exit, though. So entries, exits, big mistakes happening. And Dave was not willing to give kudos for anything. He really didn't want to. He was asked about Wenberg and about his stock rising. And even then he was like, but we're not going to be celebrating these moral victories. We have to be honest and we have to give real critical feedback. I respected that from Dave Haxtell, and this team, something's got to give. And coming up next, we're going to talk about what has to give and what players have to start performing, particularly with the trade deadline coming up. So in the next frame, we're actually going to talk about the trade deadline. We're going to talk about Jared McCann signing a 5-year contract, an extension, I should say. We're going to talk about who are the UFAs and the RFAs, unrestricted free agents, restricted free agents, and why one of those in particular, for me right now, based on the Toronto game, might be in a little bit of trouble. It's that time of year again as college basketball tournament is finally upon us. From all the latest odds, contests, and player props, BetOnline.net is the #1 source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. Of course, they have things like hockey and even your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device and learn more about the trends and action. Bet online, where the game starts. As always, I want to thank you for making Locked On Kraken your first listen of the day. You are in good company. Allison Lucan listens to Locked On Kraken. Got a little shout out. Appreciate you. Anyway, and if you love Locked On Kraken, you have to listen to Locked On Now. That way you're not just getting my maybe biased opinion on the NHL, but you can get all other 31 flavors, so to speak, by our local experts. So check out Locked On Now, as I mentioned earlier, available for free on YouTube and anywhere you listen to audio podcasts. Okay, so we got to talk about free agency. First, let me talk about maybe a restricted free agent who is going to really have to step it up. Hasn't been someone for my money that has really shown is necessarily the best fit here. And if we can get more production elsewhere, we might want to do that. And that's Riley Sheahan. Riley. I mean, that turnover, I hate to see it. I hate to see it when you're playing such a great team. I hate to see it when you're playing at such a critical moment. And so Riley Sheahan, I'm sorry, buddy, call it recency bias, but that play for me in a time where nothing's really clicking and we absolutely have to start cleaning things up. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Not at the top of the table when it comes to production in any way, shape, or form. This is a team that needs to really start producing offensively. This is a team that needs to start shutting down defensively. So I'm not just going to pick on Riley. It just happened that I was looking at the key moments in the game, and Riley's right there for unfortunately not the great ones. He is among one of the UFAs on the Seattle Kraken roster. That also includes Callie Yarncroke. I talked with Ann Kimmel about Callie, Marcus Johansson, Colin Blackwell, Mark Giordano. Of course, we know about him. Then for restricted free agents, you have Mason Appleton, Ryan Donato. I know we talked about Ryan S. Clark's article a little while ago. Morgan Geekie. You've got Hayden Fleury and Jeremy Lauzon, also Carson Coleman. Now, when it comes to these restricted free agents, I've talked about this before, but Hayden Fleury not really getting a lot of time. Jeremy Lauzon, not sure he's really making necessarily a big impact. I think as far as UFAs, you got to keep Colin Blackwell. Again, his trend is rising at the right time. He's getting into the swing of things. Ryan Donato, I think you keep him. So that puts Johansson, Yarncroke, maybe even Appleton. Some of these players, are you going to try and get deals done? We don't know, but we do know that the Seattle Kraken made a deal, and that, of course, was with one Jared McCann, their top scorer so far through the season. Let's go to first Ron Francis, and then we'll hear from Jared himself.
Well, I mean, this is the first restricted free agent signing for the organization, so I think it sends a message. Certainly in Jared's case, he's excited to be in Seattle. Excited, as a lot of our players are, the way the ownership and management treats the players. Excited about the passionate fan base and the city itself, and want to be here as we build this thing and become more and more successful. Well, I mean, he's our leading scorer to this point. He's even missed some games early in the year with kind of a mixed up COVID thing, and then last week. So he's continued to play well. We've used him in the wing for most of the time, and then had to move him into the middle with injuries. He's handled that extremely well. He's a guy that, in my opinion, has a shot that can beat a goaltender from a distance. And that's not something everybody has. So we like the goal-scoring aspect to his game as well. I talked with Joe Resnick, his agent, just before the All-Star break, and just said, hey, we'll take a look at things. And we had, I guess, numerous dialogue over the course of the season, and I think there was mutual interest on both sides to get something going. So I told him before the All-Star break I'd get back to him after, and then we had some conversations, and I'm glad we were able to work something out that we think is beneficial for both sides.
What's ahead? A lot of pressure off the shoulders. Now I can just kind of focus on playing hockey, and obviously it's a huge honor to get that deal and to be a part of this for the future.
You say there's pressure off your shoulders, but now you got a contract you got to live up to. What's that experience going to be like?
It's more motivation, I think, than pressure. I feel like it's not going to change me at all. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing and go from there. It happened pretty quickly. We talked for a couple weeks and kind of got something rolling. And I'm very happy with how it came out. And I really wanted some term to be able to be in a place for a while. And they were more than welcome to have, or accommodating for that fact. So it was great.
So it's a 5-year contract for Jared McCann. He's going to get the opportunity, as he said in his media avail, to perhaps buy a house instead of renting, which is something that he's done throughout his career. He tallied his 100th NHL assist February 2nd and skated in his 400th NHL game on February 21st. I like Jared McCann. I've always mentioned it, that Triple J line. Jared McCann talked about the difference between Seattle being that other places he had to work his way to the top but couldn't stay there, whereas with the Seattle Kraken, he started there at the top, and I've liked it. I know he's had injuries. He's had to go through COVID protocols. So there's been a bunch of things. And despite that, he's been able to find his way to some career highs. So good on Jared McCann. Said he really wanted to get this done. We heard Ronnie Francis talk about, and also Dave Haxtell talk about, the importance of getting guys that want to be here. And there's a handful of them, including Ryan Donato. Okay. Ryan Donato wants to be in Seattle. I've said it before, I'll say it again. He didn't love those other teams like he loves us. I want to see a deal done for Ryan Donato, but this does mean that there are going to be some decisions that have to be made for these other RFAs, UFAs. I'm going to pop this up again. This is from Cap Friendly. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but Cap Friendly breaking it down. I also mentioned in some videos that I'm not sure if they're all cycled out, but talking about the trade deadline, talking about some of the needs. I do think that Seattle needs to, one, start establishing who their core is, and that's what they're doing with McCann, but they also need to maybe bank some money. And so there's some of these contracts that I think they're going to let go. And we're going to find out within another week and a half, 2 weeks. It's going to be tough. You might lose your favorite, but I guess that's karma. We just stole a bunch of folks from their teams and breaking hearts. If I had to read the tea leaves, I don't know about Hayden. I mentioned this, I guess, on Monday. He was a scratch again as the Seattle Kraken played Carolina. And some people that I know from hockey Twitter reached out to him, some others that I didn't know. But Hayden Fleury, he seems good to his fans. I think there's potential there. I don't know why exactly he hasn't found some consistency, to Jared McCann's points. I mean, getting that consistency is really key. He's a young guy. I'm not very impressed with what we're doing defensively, so I'd like to see things a little shaken up there. I don't know that we're going to get a top defender. I don't know if we have the money yet or the cachet or clouds or whatever to get a top defender, but getting some defense is going to be key. Which ironically is probably why we'll lose Mark Giordano. Great guy. Don't know that he's the shutdown defender that we need him to be. So I don't know. It's tough. That's why I'm not a GM. Good luck to you, Ronnie. But coming up next on Locked On Kraken, let's get you ready for Seattle Kraken game day. And as I mentioned, I'm going to contact the lucky winner, and I'm showing you the hat so you can see this is my hat, no sticker underneath. This is the hat for the giveaway as promised. I'm also working with the Riveters to give away a black Rosie jersey. Things got a little wonky. That thing I did with the Devils came together pretty quickly, so I didn't have all of the energy to do that second part of the giveaway, but we're still going to do that. We're going to give away one of those Rosie jerseys. I'm also representing Black Future, what is it? The Black Future Fund Co-op. This is the OL Reign jersey from last season. They're going to be playing in Seattle proper. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be exciting. Anyway, I feel like I just tossed a lot at you. Coming up next, let's get ready for game day. And here are all the things you oughta know. I think I was going to save that "you oughta know" line for tomorrow's episode, but I kind of like it. So we're going to go with it. You oughta know. Get it like Ottawa Senators. You oughta know. Alanis Morissette, Canadian. All right, cool. Anyway, the season series. This We haven't played the Ottawa Senators. I think this is one of the COVID changed up games. But here's what we got. They're on a 1-game win streak, are 3-6-1 in their last 10. We are 1-8-1 in our last 10. They are at 20-31-5. We are at 17-37-5. But I believe it was either Wenny or Susie who mentioned that they got to get some points on this road trip. They got to get some freaking points on this road trip. Dropped to Washington, dropped to Carolina, dropped to Toronto. They've got Ottawa, and then, hold on. Ottawa, I keep one of these around all the time. Fear the deep. So it's, Montreal. I couldn't remember. Montreal. All right, that's how they're going to end. They're going to end this in Canada. Power play. Neither one is so great. 14.9% success rate for the Seattle Kraken, 17.9% success rate for the Ottawa Senators. Penalty kill, 80%, 15th overall for the Sens, 74 for the Seattle Kraken. And then we see, goals for, goals against. Again, pretty evenly matched for goals for, but favoring the Senators. Goals against, yikes, 3.59 goals against or allowed for the Seattle Kraken. But some players to watch that are upticking. I told you about Blackwell. I told you about Wenny, and of course Susie as well. We see Tkachuk, Stutzel. I gotta get this guy's name right. And Holden are some players to watch. It was Gruby in net the other night. We'll see if Driggs gets an opportunity. The Seattle Kraken did not have availability today, so they'll only do, or they didn't skate today, so they only will have availability right before the game. Yeah, the Kraken will no longer skate tomorrow morning, that being today. Select players will be available in person at approximately 10:50 p.m. ET, and head coach Dave Haxtell at 5:35. So that's basically right before puck drop. So we're not going to have that for this episode. So I don't know if we're going to see Drieger, but he is the only former Senator on the Kraken roster. He was selected in the 3rd round, 76 overall in the 2012 NHL draft. He appeared in 3 games for the club over a span of 3 seasons. Johansson enters tomorrow's game as 1 point shy of tallying his 400th point. He is one of the guys I talked about as, potentially someone on the free agency, or on the trade deadline block. There are only 12 skaters from the 2009 or 2009 draft class active, and only 12 active Swedish players that have 400 points. So we'll see if Johansson can join that club. Colin Blackwell has 5 points in the Kraken's last 4 games. I told you he's red hot. When he scores tomorrow, he would have a goal in 3 consecutive games. Again, another player that we said is red hot. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, if you're going to get one on the road, this is one to get. I think if the Seattle Kraken play the way they played Toronto, they should be able to get wins tonight, and they should be able to get a win against Montreal. Let's just look at the standings really quickly here. So the Ottawa Senators are in that Atlantic division. They sit 6th in the Atlantic division, and Montreal is 8th in the Atlantic division. Overall, league-wide, the Senators are 28th overall. Montreal is 32nd overall. So if the Seattle Kraken can't get wins against teams that are basically, they're punching in the same weight class, that's going to be a problem. So I want not 1, but 2 wins. I want to see 2 wins. If the Seattle Kraken can give me 2 wins, then I think that proves Dave Haxtell's point that this is not a team that's packing it up. This is not a team that's ever, hitting, downshifting, or whatever the case is. All these questions he's been asked where he's just like scoffed at them. Now it's time for his team to prove him right, because he's been defending his team, and that's for shit. if I'm just going to keep it real. That's for shit if they don't show up in these next 2 games. How do you get a lead against the Toronto Maple Leafs and then lose to Ottawa and lose to Montreal on the road? No, you can't do that. You have to be consistent. Stop with that teenage BS. It's time to get down to the knit and grit. The guys are tired. We saw what's happened when they get tired of losing, like really, 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 really tired. Like you heard it on the show. Someone asked, like, what is it like? Like you keep getting asked the same questions. You have to keep giving the same answers. It was Susie. And he's like, yeah, I've never experienced this in my life. Well, then you don't have to keep doing it, Suze and the rest of the guys. End it now. End it tonight against Ottawa and get you that game in Montreal too. That's what I got, folks. Another episode of Locked On Kraken. As always, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. And if you want to know how to strategically place all of your favorite Kraken players and I guess some other players throughout the league on your fantasy team, then go listen to Locked On Fantasy Hockey. And when it comes to the trade deadline, you're going to want to stay locked on the Fantasy Hockey Podcast because we've got some fun goodies that are coming up for you. So you're not going to want to miss it. Get into the routine now. And then by the trade deadline, you'll know exactly where to go. But that's what we got. I will be back with you tomorrow. I'm on the road again this weekend, but we'll get you a Friday show up and we'll see what happens tonight as it's a Seattle Kraken game day. Fear the deep. Fear the deep. But let's mean it. All right, boys, let's get down to business. You got no business losing the next 2 games. I said it. I'm going to get in your ear if you don't get business done on the road. Get it done now. Now, not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Hold fast. Stay true. Let's go, Kraken. And I'll see you tomorrow.